All right, fellas, what if I told you there was a way to grow your lower body, your legs, your calves, in a way that they're still lean, aesthetic, powerful, and you can be athletic while actually enjoying your leg workouts? You're not super tired all week, you don't feel fatigued, run down, and you have crazy leg DOMs where you can't even walk down the stairs. Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. How do you build these type of legs while still being able to have balance in your life, where you're not tired all the time, and it matches your upper body aesthetics? And this is what we're breaking down. First, you need to understand my stance on leg training. I think you should have lean, aesthetic, proportionate legs, but I don't think you should try build grotesque bodybuilder legs. I think, number one, they make you look ridiculous. Number two, there's no real utility, and it ends up actually hindering performance in anything else you want to do. So having lean, aesthetic, powerful, athletic legs is the way to go. So we're going to break down this workout, and it's pretty simple. It's split into 2 days. I separate my quads and my hamstrings. However, I still train a little bit of hamstrings on my quadricep day, and I'm going to get into that. Your hamstrings are extremely important to have well developed. If you have strong, powerful hamstrings, not only is it going to protect your knees so you don't get injured, you don't tear any ACLs, MCLs, and other CLs, but that is where all your power is generated. So your hamstring development, your glute development, that is how you run fast, jump higher. All of these things are integral to your performance. And it doesn't matter if you play any sports or not. Why would you not want to be able to run faster, jump higher, and not injure your knees? This is just great bonuses. And my approach to leg training is very, very simple. It's get in, get out, do what works, and make it as short and sweet as possible with getting the most amount of stimulus. So I'll take you guys from the top. First workout we're going to be going over is the leg day. This is mainly focused around quads with a little bit of hamstrings. We start out with doing calf raises. Now, calf raises only if you are a smaller calfed gentleman like myself. If you have high calf insertions, you're maybe more of a quick sprinter and a higher jumper, then this is for you. You want to start with your calves. You want to prioritize them. It's not going to take anything away from the rest of your workout. And what I usually do is either seated calf raises or a leg press calf raise variation. I do 4 sets of 12 to 20 reps. Sometimes I go into 8 to 12, depends, but then we just have to load up a ton of weight. And then we superset that with body weight drop sets. So just as many reps as you can with your body weight, bang those out. 4 sets of that, boom, calves are done, sorted out the way. Next, we're going to go on to warming up our knees, but also training a bit of our hamstring. So we start out with a lying hamstring curl. I do 2 sets of this, 8 to 12 reps. Get as strong as you can on this. This is really simple. Little extra hamstring stimulus warms up your legs and your knees, and it's going to make things like leg extensions and other movements later on in the workout feel 10 times better. And that leads us to the next point. The next exercise is leg extensions. Why are we doing this first? You're probably thinking to yourself, Andrew, shouldn't we be doing our squats first? Probably not. And I'm going to explain why. I do preach a lot about simple training, keeping it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't overthink it. However, over my many years of training and bodybuilding, I've picked up a few things that, in my opinion, should be standard. And that's doing your leg extensions and your hamstrings first before your other movements. Warms up your legs. But not only that, you got to think when you're doing a lying hamstring curl and you're doing a leg extension, the goal is to get peak contraction. We're not really stretching the muscle all that much. We're trying to get the best contraction possible. And when are you strongest at getting a contraction? At the beginning of your workout. So that's why we do our hamstrings first. We warm those up, get our knees ready, then we go into leg extensions. They're going to feel 10 times smoother. You can move a lot of weight, but you also actually contract your quad when you're doing leg extensions. If you were to do it at the end of your workout, your contraction is going to be terrible because you've already squatted and done whatever else. So after we've done those 2 movements, I then go on to a leg press, ideally a angled one or a pendulum one. Why? Again, same principle. This is more focused on contracting the quad rather than stretching. I always do my feet at around shoulder width apart, so nice and narrow, and I'm really focused on putting 70% of the pressure for the majority of the leg press on the balls of my feet, the front 2. That way we get more quad stimulus. What you also want to make sure is that wherever your feet are placed, they are as low as possible without your back rounding. So that way your knees go over your toes more, which induces more quad growth. And that is exactly what we're doing. So what I do with leg press is I do high reps. I'm at the point now where if I do lower rep ranges, I'm going to put so much weight on the leg press, it's really not worth it. Plus, it's just higher risk of injury. So I do anywhere from 10 to around 20 reps. and I just pump them out and I keep tension on the muscle. So for the first set, I might do one where I'm fully contracting, really locking out, and then on the second one, higher reps, back off set, 20 reps, I'm doing, keeping it moving, keeping blood in the muscle, and you are never ever gonna feel the same type of pump as doing that. Next, we're gonna be going on to the movement that stretches the quad. So I like to do a pendulum squat, a hack squat, a belt squat. It really doesn't matter. We're focusing on the principles of quad training. Knees over toes, keeping our foots flat, but a little bit more pressure on the front of our foot, and slow and controlled. You do not need to go as deep as you think. There is this huge misconception that if you go ATG, you're gonna get more quad growth. It's not actually true. If you really do it properly, you focus on squeezing and contracting your quad while you're through the movement and keeping tension there. If you go just below 90 degrees, not only is it safer, your butt isn't gonna wink, so you're not gonna get the lower back pumps, but you're also gonna have more tension on the quad throughout the movement. So don't listen to all these little short guys that are built like Chinese Olympic lifters telling you to go to ATG. It's not true. You can go to 90 degrees and get great stimulus. So we do a pendulum, hack squat, or some type of belt squat. And then lastly, I do a little bit of adductor training. Personally, for me, my adductors grow extremely quickly, so I do 1 to 2 sets bi-weekly because that's really all I need for growth. Now, on all of these exercises, not all of them, the first 2, we do 2 to 3 sets on leg extensions and hamstrings. Calves, we do 4. Leg press and pendulum, we only do 2 sets. They're very taxing. You want to get in, get out, push those sets as hard as you can to failure, and you will see great progress. It's all about building that mind-muscle connection, you building up the ability to actually put tension on those muscles. That is what's going to determine how well you grow. It's not really exercise selection or any of these other things. It's about your ability to actually make the muscle do the work. Next, we're going to talk onto the hamstring day, and this is one of the best tips I could ever give you. As I said before, no one likes training legs. It's not fun. Simple as that. It's very demanding, especially on your lungs and just your overall energy level. You're tired after. It is what it is. However, I've come up with a system to make you get the best of both worlds. So the first thing you're going to do, and what I like to do in my program, is do arms and then hamstrings. So this is supplementary hamstring work we're doing after an arm day. So you get an arm pump. It takes you 30 minutes. You do a few supersets. You're engorged with blood. You're feeling juicy, thick, and handsome. Then we're going to train our hamstring. So this is super simple. We've already done a little bit of hamstring volume at the beginning of the week on the other leg day. So this is simple. We do the calves, same as before. Leg press, calf variation, or a seated calf raise. Then we're going to go on to another hamstring curl variation, 2 to 3 sets. Same thing, getting the knees warmed up. Then lastly, what we move to is a heavy RDL. You can do dumbbells, you can do RDLs. It really doesn't matter. If I'm being honest, if you're doing dumbbells, you're going to get more hamstring stimulus. However, there's no better feeling than putting 400 plus pounds on a bar and RDLing it while other people are trying to max that for their deadlift. It feels good. It boosts the ego a little bit. It builds your whole posterior chain, your glutes, your hams, your calves, your traps, your rhomboids, everything, your erectors, and it gives you that thickness and density. I personally like to do that just for fun. I don't even really care about progressing it anymore. I just like to move more weight, which in turn makes me progress more. But this is the system you need to do if you want to build aesthetic, lean, powerful, athletic legs while also actually enjoying other areas of your life, because there's no worse feeling than going to the gym, being super fatigued, spending 2 hours training legs, and trust me guys, I've been there. I've done 10 sets of squats before in a workout and then done everything else. It's just not worth it. It doesn't lead to more progress, and at the end of the day, you just burn yourself out in other areas of your life. And if you guys want to build this foundation to succeeding in other areas of your life, which is your physique, and you want to expedite the process, book a call with me down below. We'll talk about where you're currently at, where we're trying to get to, and what problems you're dealing with, and how we can solve them together.